Is it too late for us? I can't even remember how many times I've heard that question when it comes to conversations about dementia. Remembering, yeah, that's the problem. And if you want to know what you can do to keep your brain working as you age and how that is connected to your waistline, stay tuned.
Healthy isn't just what you do, it's who you become. I'm Dr. Vicki, and this is Healthy Looks Great on You, a lifestyle medicine podcast to help you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your well-being. Life tested, doctor approved.
A couple of weeks ago, I shared a surprising statistic. 45% of people aged 65 or older improve either their physical or cognitive function, according to Dr. Becca Levy of Yale. But I can promise you that never happens by accident. Improving cognitive function takes as much work as improving physical function. So, what are you doing to get in shape? What are you doing for your body? And what are you doing for your brain? I know you did not just say take Prevagen or some other brain supplement, but if you did, I challenge you to listen very closely to the commercials. They don't even claim it works, just that they sell a lot of it. Improving your memory is certainly not as easy as taking a pill, but there are some simple steps you can take to protect your brain. And it turns out that if your waistline is on your mind, what's good for the belly is good for the brain. Now, there are 3 things you can start doing for your brain right now: lifestyle, speed training, and learn new things. Let's start with learning new things. Oh, you're already doing crossword puzzles. Great, keep doing them, but you also need to really challenge your brain. Here's what I hear all the time: I don't think I can learn to do that. Didn't your mama ever tell you that can't never could? I bet those people who improved their health after age 65 have a can-do attitude. Look, I'm in a community group at church made up of about 8 couples, and half of them have a mom living with dementia. Half. If you have a family history of dementia, it might be easy to think it's just your fate. But are you really destined to follow the same path, or is there an exit? I say we look for the nearest off-ramp and take it. Lifestyle is the big one. So let's go to mini medical school and see what science tells us about 8 lifestyle interventions that prevent dementia. Now, remember that percentage I mentioned in the introduction? Oh, come on, don't tell me you forgot. Well, at least there's a rewind feature here. 35% of people can improve after age 65. That same percentage is reported as the reduction in dementia by lifestyle, according to the Lancet. Lifestyle is the big umbrella that covers everything. So let's explore that in more detail. Ready? Here are the cliff notes. Number 1, move. Ideally, 150 minutes a week of exercise. And also, avoid prolonged sitting, because that's equally important even if you're hitting that 150-minute-a-week mark. Number 2 is dietary pattern. Notice I didn't say diet. It's a dietary pattern. The MIND, M-I-N-D diet, emphasizes berries and greens, and the Mediterranean dietary pattern and the plant-forward dietary pattern are all associated with a lower risk of dementia. Plant-based proteins, healthy fats, and leafy greens and veggies. Remember, all of that is good for your brain and it's good for your belly. A healthy dietary pattern of eating helps you maintain a healthy weight, a healthy heart, and healthy blood vessels that carry oxygen to your brain. On the other hand, obesity in your late 30s, 40s, 50s, and early 60s is associated with a 30% increased risk of dementia. Metabolism and vascular health have an effect on all of your organs, and excess body fat is associated with chronic inflammation, and it smolders and eventually can damage the brain. Managing belly fat is complicated, and complicated problems are difficult to solve. But if I could tell you one thing to do from a nutritional standpoint, I'd say focus on a healthy gut microbiome. That means cutting out excess sugar and saturated fat and having adequate fiber intake. Fiber helps control your appetite, blood sugar, and cholesterol, and all of that helps preserve your brain as you age. Number 3 is avoid tobacco and alcohol. If your mom is like my mom, she already warned you about that too. Number 4 is sleep. Look, I spent years delivering newborn babies throughout the night and neglected this aspect of my health. Now, I'm not saying it caused the crash I experienced, but it certainly didn't help. Sleep is important in maintaining physical health as well as brain health and keeping you from being a grouch pot to all the people around you. Number 5 is manage stress, and this one's simple, right? No. Yeah, stress is a tough one, and if I were going to tell you one thing to do, I would say keep a journal. It's a cheap psychiatrist. Number 6 is connect with others in a way that gives your life meaning, purpose, and fun. Don't forget fun. There is so much power in playing. So yes, join the pickleball craze if you're able. It gets you moving, it's interactive, it's good for coordination. I've gone through a lot of different seasons in my life, and I call this season fun. So get out there and do something you enjoy. Number 7 is know your numbers. This one's not as much fun, but it's important. Know your blood pressure. Know your waist circumference. Your LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, and your blood sugar. And not only do you need to know your numbers, but they need to be optimized for heart health, because what's good for the heart is good for the brain, just like what's good for controlling belly fat is good for preserving the brain. And number 8 is make sure the input channels to your noggin are clear and running smoothly. I'm talking about your vision and hearing, because when sight and sound are compromised, then those areas of your brain start to shrink. The medical term for that is atrophy. So wear your glasses, and for crying out loud, if someone has ever said to you, you need hearing aids, then push pause on this podcast right now and call your local audiologist. Besides lifestyle, the new kid on the block is speed training for the brain, or some call it speed processing. And this stuff is fascinating. If you want to exercise, you can do your own thing, and that works as long as you actually do it. Or you can hire an expert, a personal trainer, or attend a group fitness class where there's an instructor who can help you exercise correctly for the maximum benefit. When it comes to brain training, this is usually done on the computer or even your cell phone, and there's science behind this. Speed training for your brain is literally just exercise to help you improve how fast you can process information and react. And that seems important for lots of reasons. For example, if you're driving, you need to be able to react and correct based on sudden changes in your environment. But that doesn't happen very often. So these exercises help you practice and be ready when an unexpected situation arises that could be very dangerous for yourself and others. Now, this is so different than working a crossword puzzle that uses logic. And it's also different from memorization, because with dementia, not only do you lose memory, you lose function. Personally, what I use is an app called BrainHQ, and there's a free and a paid version, and I don't make a dime for it, but it's backed by a lot of research. You did not just say you didn't think you could do it, did you? I swear I'm going to call your mother. Here's the deal. It forces you to work at the top of your ability. So if you're not doing well, it slows down. And then when you start progressing, it ramps up. That's called adaptive difficulty. The better you get, the more it challenges you. What kind of challenge? Things like divided attention, where you're focused on something and then a second object appears in the periphery, and your job is to see it. And trust me, It's harder than it sounds because the more you get it right, the faster it goes, or they just add more distractions to the background. You can see how this would help you maintain your ability to retain your driver's license and therefore your independence as you get older. Speaking of driving, there's a game on the BrainHQ platform called Double Decision, where you drive a race car and avoid obstacles, like Mario Kart of our generation. They actually used this particular game in the ACTIVE study, which was an NIH-funded study at 6 different institutions with almost 3,000 healthy adults over the age of 65. And it showed the effectiveness of speed training for the brain. And specifically, those who trained had a 2 to 3 year increase in the ability to live independently and a 48% reduction in the risk of having a car wreck that's your fault. Gee, I wonder if my insurance company would give me a discount for playing Double Decision, like they do for taking driver's ed when you're a teenager. They should. Now, this study was done a long time ago, but they did some follow-up. And 20 years later, data suggested a 25% reduction in the development of dementia. Now, remember, these people were over the age of 65 when they started, and they looked at them again 20 years later, so they're in their upper 80s. The beauty is that speed creates new neural pathways in your brain, and that gives you some reserve as you age. And look, we'd rather be cruising into old age with some extra brain power rather than a deficit. Dietary patterns, movement, controlling blood sugar, and all the stuff we covered today is exactly what we work on together inside the Healthy Looks Great on You lab. And in the month of June, we're going deeper on brain health, longevity, and belly fat because, yes, they are all very much connected. And ladies, you can still join the lab right now for $19 a month. But that price is going away after June. So if you're on the fence, then now is the time to give it a try and join for $19 a month, and you'll be locked in at that price. If you're ready to take that off-ramp that we talked about, come join us in the lab. Go to healthylooksgreatonyou.com, the lab, or there's a link in the show notes. And finally, I just want to challenge you to learn new things. It doesn't have to be a new language or musical instrument, but don't stick with what's easy or familiar. Technology can help you preserve your mental sharpness. And if you're one of those people who say, I'm not good at technology, then use it more and try to learn new things. I promise you're not going to break the internet because you pushed the wrong button, but you might break your mind if you don't. Go ahead, push all those buttons and see what happens. Figure it out. Never before has it been so accessible and easy. And don't ever say, I don't think I can, or I am going to call your mama and tell on you. She knows what's best, and even if your family history doesn't set you up for success, you can modify your lifestyle to be healthier, and healthy looks great on you.
The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not considered to be a substitute for medical advice. You should continue to follow up with your physician or healthcare provider and take medication as prescribed. Though the information in this podcast is evidence-based, new research may develop and recommendations may change.